Welcome to Sungrand. I'm glad you're here. I'm Jerrel. I develop games for a living. Today I wanted to discuss briefly what does Star Fox mean for the Ocarina of Time remake. Star Fox recently launched on the Switch 2, and as we have seen, it is a very faithful remake. It doesn't revise or change anything in a major way. It adds some supplemental content in the terms of the cinematics that occur on the Great Fox characters discussing missions, but there is nothing that is redacted. They don't change anything. They don't really transform it into a totally different product. Say it would have been a different product if, say, for example, in Corneria, instead of just having a straightforward mission, if the final boss Andross had showed up and was sort of like harassing Fox and showing up in flashbacks and sort of showing him his past, and then it's revealed sort of, I don't know, maybe Andross is obsessed with Fox for some reason. Maybe he's in love with him. Maybe he wants to give him a kiss. There's nothing wrong with that. And then it seems like, I don't know, maybe he's trying to change the past, and then there's these time ghosts, and the time ghosts are like harassing Star Fox crew, and they're trying to stop the crew from changing their fate, and then it becomes this weird thing about alternate dimensions and fate, and instead of Fox McCloud's dad James, instead of James being dead, turns out James is alive, and then we get to actually play missions as James, where he's not a flashback, he's alive now for some reason. He survived the encounter with Andross, and then all of a sudden there's like, by the third stage you're actually fighting Andross, and then you defeat Andross, and then by like the fifth stage you fight Andross again. So you're beating Andross multiple times throughout the story, and then James is there to help you, and he's actually physically there, but it's because like this magical wormhole opened up, and then you get to the final boss, and then it's like you're beating Andross again, but like you've already beaten him twice, so who cares that you're beating Andross again? Um, you know, and that's not what happened. That could have happened, and that, to me, honestly, maybe that would be a good game. Maybe people would enjoy that, but I think the story writing for that would be incoherent and ridiculous and silly and atrocious. And if they could have remade Star Fox like that, we know that that product kind of sells, all right? That sort of thing sells very well in the games industry. And while that's not for me, I would say that remake of Star Fox is not for me. There may be people that absolutely love it, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying a new product. It's just different. It's a different story. It's about Andross going back in time so he can harass and try and kiss Fox, I guess. I don't know what his deal is. I don't know what he's trying to do, all right? But he's bothering Fox with the whole thing. That is a hypothetical remake that could have happened with Star Fox, and it didn't. What we got with Star Fox is a very faithful remake. And so what does that mean for Ocarina of Time? This tells us what Nintendo's philosophy is for remakes. Remakes should be faithful. They should have some supplemental content, but they should not be revisionary. They shouldn't just turn it into something else and say, oh, it's like an alternate dimension sequel, you know? And I would really dislike if Ocarina of Time ended up where Ganondorf goes back in time and he's just harassing Link, and then he's, you know, we just explained it. I think that would be atrocious writing. It would be inappropriate to serve as a remake. But as Nintendo has shown us, their focus seems to be just updating the experience for modern consoles so the visuals can meet our modern expectations when it comes to higher quality visuals, higher fidelity, better performance on the consoles. So Star Fox was a faithful remake. This tells us that Nintendo's philosophy for the Ocarina of Time remake will also be faithful. This will be a faithful remake. Sure, it's going to look a lot better, but the spirit of the product, I believe it looks like the spirit of the product is what is important here, to deliver a faithful retelling of the story with updated presentation, but the core experience will be faithful to the original. So that is what Star Fox shows us. We have seen already in the industry how it can go very wrong in terms of remakes. And I'm not saying they're bad games. People are still allowed to enjoy that. If you think it's the greatest thing in the world, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not a remake. So I think there's very little risk when it comes to Ocarina of Time. Very little risk that we're going to get like a weird alternate dimension sequel, reboot, retelling where it's split into 3 parts. That seems very unlikely at this point, all thanks to Star Fox. So Star Fox has been a good sign in terms of Nintendo's philosophy for remakes. Okay, that's what I wanted to discuss with you today. What do you think? Do you think Ocarina of Time is going to go the other direction, where they split it into 3 and it's about Ganondorf going back in time and there's trying to stop Link and then there's Time Ghost? Or do you think it's going to be a faithful remake? I personally, from what I've seen, it looks like it's going to be a faithful remake for Ocarina of Time. Thanks very much for watching. I'll put some other episodes on screen if you're interested in seeing more, and I trust that you will take good care of yourselves. Be well.